Hi again, guys. This is Miss Wallace, and we're going to work on taking notes for the very next topic that we would have learned had we been in school. And this is going to be about area of a circle. So if you don't have a piece of paper, go grab yourself a piece of paper, write this down so it will be helpful as you work through the quizzes and the quiz. So the title of these notes is going to be Area of a Circle. So go ahead and write that down. And let's talk about what area means first. So I'm going to draw a circle in the middle of my paper. Go ahead and do that. And let's talk about what it means to find the area of a circle. Well, remember in the last video, we reminded ourselves that the circumference was the outside of the circle. So area is different than that. Area is actually the inside. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to color in my circle. All of this inside area is what we refer to as the area of the circle. And so if you think about, maybe you've got a round table at your house. Think about if you wanted to paint the top of that table, covering the entire top of the table would mean that you are painting the area of the circle. Maybe you have a round rug in your house somewhere. We actually call those area rugs because they cover up a certain amount of area. And so the area, when we find the area of a circle, we're talking about the inside of the circle. So I'm going to write that off to the side here. Area is the inside space that a circle takes up. Actually, a lot of times we will also talk about the number of units that a circle covers. And so you might also see the area talked about in reference to maybe squares or square units. So sometimes you will see area talked about like this. So I'm going to draw just a bunch of squares in my circle. So when we talk about area, it's actually the number of square units that it takes to make up a circle. So if I drew in a bunch of different squares here and I counted them all, area of a circle is actually how many square units can I fit inside my circle. Now the funny thing about this is that we end up with some parts of squares, like see, that's not a full square right there, and this is not a full square. So we're going to end up with some decimals, and that's okay. So that is what area of a square means. It's the inside space or number of square units inside a circle. And remember, if I go too fast, you can always pause the video and copy that down. So let's look at the formula, because there is a formula. Now remember, we have already talked about the circumference formulas. This is a different formula, and the formula for area of a circle is this. It's area equals pi, we still have that value of 3.14, r squared. Now r stands for radius. I hope you said radius, because the r is still going to stand for radius here. We do not have an area formula that takes the diameter. The area formula only takes radius, and so that's going to be important to note that we're going to need to know the radius when we're finding the area of a circle. So let's look at a couple of examples of how to do this. So example number 1. Let's say we are given a circle and we are told that the radius, I'll draw in my radius here, that the radius is equal to 4 feet. So the radius of this circle is 4 feet. And I'm asked to find the area. Well, I'm going to copy my formula down. So the formula does not change. It is always going to be area is equal to pi r squared. I'm going to recopy that by filling in my numbers, just like we did with circumference. So pi is 3.14 times my radius is 4, and it's being squared. Now, I always like to rewrite this to remind myself that, remember, this does not mean 4 times 2, but this is 4 times 4. It's 4 times itself. So I'm actually going to rewrite this as 3.14 times 4 times 4. That just means to write this number twice. And now, just like with circumference, we're going to grab our calculator and we're going to type in this set of numbers. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 4 times 4. I have to multiply it twice because it's being squared. Press equal, and my answer is going to be 50.24. Now, because area is the number of square units that fit inside here, area is always going to be squared. So remember when we did circumference, we would always write our unit feet out here on the end. Because this is area, we're actually going to call this feet squared. And so the unit is always going to have a square next to it, because that's only because we're talking about area. It's the number of squares that it takes. All right, let's try an example, and we'll do one where you can pause the video and try working it out yourself. So example number 2, I'm going to give you a circle, and I'm going to tell you that the radius, so let's say the radius is measured over here this time, that the radius is equal to 2.5. 2.5. That's not very clear. Let me write that again. Radius is equal to 2.5 inches. All right. Go ahead and pause the video if you want to try working this out on your own, and then you can unpause it in order to find the solution. All right, I hope that you paused it and worked out the problem. Let's go through the answer. So area is equal to pi r squared, and so I'm always going to use that formula. Remember, there's always one for radius. So area is equal to, we're going to copy down pi, which is 3.14, times the radius, which in this case was 2.5, 0.5 squared. Now remember, because we're squaring it, that really just means to write it twice. So if you wrote down 2.5 squared, then you need to write a second line that's reminding you that that's not 2.5 times 2, that's 2.5 times 2.5. So we're going to multiply it twice. Grab your calculator, and we're going to type in these numbers. So 3.14 times 2.5 times 2.5, and hit equals, and so you should have got the answer 19.625. Now remember, for the units it was inches, so we're going to write down inches, and because it's area, we're going to put that square, inches squared, square inches, that will fill up the circle. All right, we're going to do 2 more examples, and this is going to be when we're given the diameter. So if you need to get a new sheet of paper, I'm going to flip mine over. This is example number 3. Let's say you are given a circle, and you're told that the diameter is equal to 15 yards. So 15 yards is the diameter. Remember our formula. So area is equal to pi r squared. But in this case, we are not given the radius. We are just told that the diameter is 15 yards. You cannot plug in the diameter into this formula. There's no d. We cannot put 15 here. So here's what would be wrong. We would not be able to write down 3.14 times 15 squared. That would be bad. 15 is not the radius, 15 is the diameter. We do know, however, that we can find the radius when we're given the diameter. So if I know that the diameter is 15, what will I do to find my radius? I will cut it in half. And so we're going to take 15, we're going to divide it by 2. You can type that in your calculator if you need to. It actually comes out to be a decimal. So when you divide 15 by 2, that is going to be your radius. So the radius in this case, 15 divided by 2 equals 7.5 yards. So my radius is 7.5. 7.5 is going to be the number that I use in my formula. So now I'm going to copy my formula down. Area equals pi r squared. Area equals, I'm going to plug my numbers in. Pi is 3.14 times the radius. We're going to use 7.5, not 15. 7.5 squared and that just means write it twice. So area equals 3.14 times 7.5 times 7.5 again. Type that into your calculator. So 3.14 times 7.5 times 7.5 equals, you should get 176.625 yards. And remember, it's because it's area, it needs to be squared. All right, we're going to do one more example, and so if you want to copy this down and then maybe pause the video and try working it out on your own and then unpause it for the solution, that might be a good idea. So one more example for finding area of a circle. This is example number 4. Got another circle. We want to find the area of it, and we are told that the diameter is equal to 9 inches. So use inches. So the diameter is equal to 9 inches. We know that our formula is going to be area equals pi r squared. We do not know the radius yet. So take a second, see if you can figure out what the radius should be. Remember, the radius is going to be the diameter cut in half, so we're going to do 9 divided by 2. And that equals 4.5. So my radius is actually 4.5 inches. That's the number I'm going to plug in for my r. So I'm going to go ahead and plug those numbers in. Area is equal to 3.14 times the radius, which is 4.5 squared. That squared means actually to write it twice. 4.5 times 4.5. And we're going to type those into our calculator. So 3.14 times 4.5 times 4.5 equals, and your final answer should be 63.585 inches squared, because it's area. And that is how you find the area of a circle. If you have any other questions, make sure you shoot me an email. Or attend one of our Zoom meetings, and we'll go over some more examples like these. If not, go ahead and work on the quizzes. Make sure you use these notes and take the quiz. Good luck!